Professional rivals, analysts, and wannabe gumshoes fought and toiled and burned the midnight oil to deliver the best segment in all of sports. It's an honor and a privilege to again present Nick's Tears.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, as always, Kevin Wildes. And as mentioned at the top of the show, today's Tears have a bit of a somber tone.
Oh, yeah.
Twofold. One is because, as you'll see from some of the tier names, the committee is not impressed with the quality of play and quality of teams overall in the NFL thus far this year. But also, we had our first two eliminations of the year. So let's go ahead and show the two eliminated teams, the Patriots and the Panthers. Last week, they were on the facing elimination line, and they both lost. Panthers got rolled by Caleb. The Patriots lost by a heel to the Miami Dolphins, and so they're eliminated. Wildes, don't listen.
I'm not taking the cameras.
18 teams will eventually be eliminated, and so we're going to have to eliminate some more. So this week, we have three facing elimination on the tiers. Tennessee faces Indy. They have to win it. The Browns go to Philly. They have to win or they're eliminated. The Raiders, with Aiden O'Connell as their new starting quarterback. That'll fix things, Antonio. They play the Pittsburgh Steelers or they are eliminated. Hot seat, Dennis Allen, Doug Peterson,
Hot seat.
Nick Sirianni. Well, yeah.
First place a little while ago.
Woody Johnson opened the floodgates.
Oh.
Listen, they had they're 2-3 fire their coach. You don't think the Saints, they lose 4 straight games, could fire their coach? You don't think that trip to London's been a death knell for folks? If Doug Peterson loses to Caleb, lose your Patriots for sure. He ain't getting back on the flight. And Nick Sirianni, the best thing that happened to the Eagles all year PR-wise was they didn't play last week. So people were like, oh, maybe they're okay. Like, no, we saw your last football game. Next, QB quandary. So for the Dolphins, it really is when is Tua coming back? Because with that division where it is, they're fine, actually. Yeah. They're 2-3 and, right there. For the Colts, they're in a weird spot because it's like, well, we definitely should play the physically, freakishly talented kid we have that we draft in the top 5. But as far as winning football games in 2024, the old man just slung for 300 again in Joe Flacco. And the Giants, Greg, I kind of get it because I watched that whole game this week.
Here we go.
Like once every 6 weeks, Daniel Jones has a performance, and you're like, what? You drove me back in a little bit. It's like, why can't you just do this every week? And you're like, he's a big guy. He's fast, too. He's strong. I get it. Maybe. Denver's got a great defense. Kyler's fun. Harbaugh and Tomlin will do some cool things, maybe in a league where nobody's great, none of those 4 teams can be discounted. And the Chargers didn't play this past week. They got to get healthier. Great win by the Cardinals with Denver, 3-2, defense playing great. NFC playoff morass. All 5 teams are 3-2. All 5 teams have a few things you really like and a few things you're like, that's not going to work. But at least 3 of this line, maybe 4, are making the playoffs. Yeah. And so I'm not going to go through them all one by one, but they're all kind of, despite this not being the standings, it's coincidental. They all have the same record and they're all on the same line. All right, this is for Kevin Wildes. The committee made me name this tier list. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, but they're a combined 4-11. Doesn't matter. The Niners' pedigree and number of Avengers, and the fact that the Bengals and Rams in recent history with the same coaches and the same quarterbacks and the same wide receivers played in a Super Bowl means we are going to give those teams the benefit of the doubt. As long as Matt Stafford is there, as long as Joe Burrow is there, as long as Nicky Bosa and Fred Warner and George Kittle and Trent Williams and Kyle Shanahan and all those guys are there, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Next, incredibly fun, not sustainable. So now, by not sustainable, these teams, either one of them could absolutely make the playoffs. But for the
make the playoffs.
Yeah, they could make the playoffs.
They're making the
playoffs.
Sorry,
but are the Vikings going to be this both sides of the ball juggernaut? Of course not. Is all year long? Is Washington going to be able to continue to be an offense-only team when the offense is led by a rookie 190-pound quarterback? Probably not. But They are incredibly fun right now, what Minnesota's doing defensively and what Justin Jefferson does and what Washington's doing week after week on offense. Not long-term sustainable, but fun. Relying on reputation. Listen, all three of these teams were better last year. But because of, for the first two, their coach, because of the last one, their quarterback, because we have seen these teams win double-digit games consistently. Green Bay, not double digits last year, but win a playoff game. The Lions last year, seemed to be on the ascent. You feel like they are more likely than not to get it right in kind of a topsy-turvy NFL. But thus far this year, none of these three teams have been wildly impressive on a week-to-week basis. The Bills obviously coming off two really, really tough losses. Wow, good teams, finally. They're at the top of the tiers. We get to a couple good teams. It's nice to see. The Ravens, it really should be 4-1, not because they were going to get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion against the best defense in football in week 1, but because they shouldn't have lost to the Raiders. Kind of lack of concentration killed them. And the Texans, C.J. Stroud this year has had a little Mahomesian as, even if I'm not having a great game, I'm going to come through in the big spots. Now, Nico Collins to the IR is a temporarily devastating loss for them because you saw even in that game this past week, the moment he went out, their offense went away. And then, of course, undefeated and unbothered, almost unworthy talking about. They've won 11 consecutive games. It's the 12th straight year they've had at least one 5-game winning streak. Mahomes, it's the third 10-plus winning streak of his career, and they have the best defense in football. That, Greg Jennings, is the committee's tiers heading into week 6. You got some in your hair?
How many times are we going to do that?
Thank you.
Do what,
Sam? Thank you, Greg.
With the Vikings, man.
I moved them up.
Come on.
How many times are we going to do this?
Oh, because
Like,
they
this
got
is
Saleh fired?
This is
How many times? All right,
This
that's
is
good.
a 5-0 team.
That's good.
Yeah,
I didn't get it.
this is a 5-0 team
That was nice.
who all they do is win. If you look at the teams that they've played, they beat the 49ers.
Yep.
They're ahead of them.
They beat the Packers, who they are not ahead of. They beat the Texans, who they are not ahead of.
Correct.
They have Detroit coming up at the bye. We'll see if you end up switching them
They
in
beat the Bengals.
and they are worthy enough. But how many times do I have to do this? Can we please put up the full screen?
Here we go.
Of their defense. Like they're for real. When you talk about they're fun but not sustainable, this is sustainable.
The defense
This
might
is
be.
very much so sustainable. And then you talk about like quarterback play. This is pumpkin watch this, pumpkin watch that. But their pumpkin watch guy is actually not turned into a pumpkin, but yours may be on the most pumpkin watch that we've seen of his
Greg's
career.
too far.
I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes isn't the greatest. I'm not.
All right,
but
well,
I'm
no,
just,
you
I'm
said
just
that
looking,
2 weeks ago, which
I'm
is why
just
you're on the
looking
board.
at
You
the
said Josh
stats.
Allen's better than him.
I'm just looking
forgot
at
about that.
I'm just looking at the numbers, and I'm trying to figure out why Sam Darnold is getting all this hate from you, and his team can't even move up the tiers because of him.
Okay.
They're a 5-0 team, and this is what they do offensively. They're first scoring 23 or more points. Defensively, they're first allowing 17 or fewer points. I mean, what more can this team do?
So listen,
Like, what can they do?
They have been excellent. But as the committee doesn't like to be like the facile power rankings, where it's just, if you take a snapshot of like, I'll just say it, the herd hierarchy from week 3, you're going to be like, oh my God. Like, what happened to those teams? Hey, look at USA Today, week 15 of last year. It's mortifying for all involved. We like these to be able to have real staying power. That's first of all. Second of all, I don't know if we can put up the Darnold Mahomes side by side again. But Greg, what you don't understand is this is the exact reason for the skepticism. Because you're right, Greg. These two teams do have the same record. And one is, despite their quarterback playing far and away the worst football of his career, and the other one is because, in part, of the quarterback playing far and away the best football of his career.
So penalize him.
Not penalize him, but try to be a little forward-thinking. Say, do we think in 4 weeks, in 5 weeks, in 6 weeks, these things are going to look like that? Or do we think when they flip a bit, one team's going to go even higher and one team's going to struggle a bit. That's all. We already saw it. It's not like Darnold's played great throughout. We just saw him in London.
I'm going to say this last thing because I've been on your side with this whole Purdy thing.
Yeah.
We saw this all last year with Purdy. We saw it the year before with Purdy. It didn't matter what he did. Didn't matter how great he played.
Okay,
he could never move all the way up.
It's not Mahomes around. The Niners moved up all the time.
Bro, do you have it? Do you have it?
No.
Like he's moving it. He's moving them. Sam,
Guys.
All right, my turn.
No,
I don't have the witty bar that Greg had, but still, and Nick, you said it. The committee takes a long look, and I'm not saying they're world beaters.
Okay.
But can we get